I am Gary Parrish. Welcome back. CBS Sports Eye on College Basketball podcast, where we sometimes discuss camel fighting, dodo birds, and leaky black. Matt Norlander is here with me. If you're watching on YouTube, be Brandon Davies. Smash that like button. And if you're one of us, let the world know in the chat and in the comments. And if you haven't already subscribed to the CBS Sports Eye on College Basketball podcast, please go do that wherever you subscribe to podcasts like Apple or Spotify. Let's get into it. Fun game on Sunday down in Birmingham, Alabama, the childhood home of Courtney Cox, Walton Goggins, and, of course, Gucci Mane. Final score, Houston 73, Auburn 72. Kelvin Sampson's Cougars, the top-ranked team in the AP poll, they actually needed 3 stops in the final 15 seconds to secure the win, with both of their starting bigs on the bench after having fouled out. No problem. Kingston Flemings blocked one, then Khalifa Sacco blocked one, and then a final second inbounds pass, just kind of a lob at the rim, was broken up with contact, but no whistle at the buzzer. Game over. So Houston holds on to win it. The Cougars are 4-0. Norlander, good to see you on this Sunday evening. Better late than never. What did you make of what you saw from Houston-Auburn?
Nice to see you on this Sunday evening as well. And as I think alluded to for our live audience here, we're going a little later than desired, but we're going to make sure that we know the result of this Florida game before the end of the show. We'll get to the Gators, and we'll discover this in real time. I like starting on the Houston-Auburn game. There's actually some good stuff over the weekend, including stuff from Saturday night, what happened in Boston, Friday night, what happened in LA, and plenty more. But the urgency of this game and the competitiveness of this game, Houston being the number one team, will it stay the number one team? Well, we'll see in terms of official AP poll purposes when that refreshes on Monday. Purdue did get past Akron without too much of a resistance on Sunday night. Matt Painter, congrats on number 500. As this game played out in Birmingham, the thought that I kept drifting back to is this is where Kelvin Sampson and his team is just most comfortable. They don't necessarily seek out single possession victories, but damn if they are fine when they get there. They have a certain composure about them. And I say this while acknowledging this was, for Houston standards, a C-plus performance overall. You mentioned the foul outs. You know, Joseph Tugler didn't have himself a great game. Emmanuel Sharp had some solid moments there, but he wasn't an absolute standout either. And Houston was able to hold on despite, there's a lot of directions to go here, Parrish, but Keyshawn Hall landing awkwardly. It seemed to be a foot injury with about 4:15 to go. There was a 68-64 Houston lead when that happened. If Keyshawn Hall is on the floor and able to be at his best self for the final 4 minutes, Auburn may well win the game. And we're talking about a single possession outcome. A no call on the final play, corner inbound, tricky spot, 1 second to go. I didn't have an issue with it, frankly. Keyshawn Murphy couldn't quite corral a tough pass. I actually thought Kingston Flemings might have gotten a little touch in there before the ball went in the air, but the bump to me was kind of negligent. Obviously, if you're an Auburn fan, you're unhappy. We saw Stephen Pearl. Go onto the court. I wondered if we would see Bruce Pearl go onto the court as well. He was in the stands, and that was, by the way, Parrish, that wasn't a surprise to see Bruce there. Again, Bruce still lives in Auburn. He's obviously now doing television work for TNT in addition to CBS now. But just to see him there, I don't know how much of the game you were watching, like minute by minute, but there were a couple of shots of Bruce in the stands, and I think there might have been one shared on social media where he's maybe 15 rows up and he is yelling, and it was weird to see that, because it's like, oh right, he should be on the sideline right now, sweating and drenched through a suit, but instead he's like cheering on his son doing this. An unexpected, amusing moment there. Good effort out of Auburn. I thought Kingston Flemings was awesome. I got more, but I'll toss it back to you. Your thoughts on the game and the scene that played out, and Houston getting really pushed to the edge by the Tigers there on Sunday.
Well, first, sometimes when coaches retire, they kind of disappear. Right. And that's just never going to be the case with Bruce, particularly at Auburn under these circumstances. I mean, that's his son. That's his son coaching the team, running the program, and he's going to live and die with it. I bet you it's almost easier. I bet if you ask Bruce, what's easier for you, coaching?
Oh, yeah.
Or watching your son go through what he went through today? Coaching is way easier than having to watch.
That Frashilla said on the broadcast, he said it's like when you're coaching, you are just in charge of like flying the plane. Like there's just so much going on that you can't think about that other stuff. And then when you're done coaching and you're watching, like everything. You're just so invested when it's your own son. So to that point, Priscilla even talked about that directly. I'm sure Bruce lost 3 pounds by just watching this game this afternoon.
Yeah. So he's going to be there. I mean, I don't know that we'll see many Auburn home games that Bruce isn't somewhere in the building, unless, of course, he is working in a studio somewhere or on a game somewhere. As for the final, I thought the final 15 seconds were just perfect from a Houston perspective. Like you said, they had not played well, not to their standard. JoJo Tugler has fouled out. Chris Sinek has fouled out. They have to play the final 155 without both of their starting bigs. Sinek went out with 3:22 left. Tugler went out with 155. Sinek went out after 26 minutes. Tugler fouled out in only 22 minutes. Remember, he also fouled out of the national championship game, like in 16 minutes. And so that's a real thing for him. He is awesome. Like our preseason national defensive player of the year, but he is only on the court for about half the game. And that's not just this season. That's over the past 2 years. So thank God you got a Khalifa Sacco. And so this is my point. You're on the road, hostile environment. I know Birmingham is not Auburn, but still hostile environment. You're on the road. What we find out is you need 3 stops to get this win. We don't know that with 15 seconds left, obviously. And you look at the guys who made the plays, and they weren't even guys who were wearing Houston uniforms last year. It's like something happens, and I know this isn't true, but you'll get the point. It's like you just put on that uniform and you become a Kelvin Sampson basketball player. I know that's not how it works, but that's what it feels like. Like there's Kingston Flemings, a top 20 freshman in the country, but we live in a world where top 20 freshmen in the country aren't necessarily supposed to be doing what he's doing. He gets 22.7 assists, 5 rebounds. He's now averaging 17.3 points per game. And then he gets the big block in the final 15 seconds on Pettiford. So he's making plays on both ends of the court. That's a Houston Cougar. Then the next Pettiford drive, he gets in there, and it's Sacco who gets the block. Hey, both our bigs are fouled out. Can you go make a play for us? You're 6'11". Go make a play. He goes, makes plays. And then, of course, they break up the lob at the rim at the buzzer. They have been top 5 in adjusted defensive efficiency in each of the past 5 years, number 1 last year. And as I was sort of working on the top 25 and 1 for in the morning, I sort of settled in on this. Like if you need multiple stops in the final seconds to win a game, about the best thing you can have working for you is 5 dudes in Houston jerseys. That's the best. That's going to give you the best shot to get done what you're trying to get done. And they got it done. Whether they'll remain number 1 in the AP poll on Monday, who knows? I've had Purdue number 1 since St. John's lost. I will have Purdue again number 1 for like the 9th or 10th straight day in the top 25 and 1 on Monday morning. We'll see what AP voters do later in the day.
Yeah, I wouldn't be surprised with either result. It's kind of a toss-up here. We've got a good array of teams that just, they look good right now, and we've got even a poll question about, frankly, I wish we had a poll question where we could fit 8 teams in, but it's about what team do you trust most at the moment. We'll get to that a little bit later in the show. I love the point you made about the guys that stepped up and made plays that weren't even on this roster a season ago. I completely agree. This game obviously coincided with my Bears getting to 7-3. So I had this for the first half of this game. I had it on the secondary screen, wasn't dialed into the commentary, but was tracking as Chicago somehow again pulled out a win. I don't know how it's happening. Not going to complain. Cairo Santos, thank you very much. Then when that game ended, was all in and watching this one with my boys, including my now 10-year-old reference on the previous podcast. That is a wild thing. And as we were watching this, it was as engaging as the Bears game that I was just so heavily emotionally invested in all of 30 minutes prior. Kingston Flemings is, yes, folks, yet another. Sinek had a good game as well. He fouled out, but he had 18 points, and just it showed well for himself in a high-profile game against a ranked team, and an environment that was as close to a true road as you could possibly ask for. But Flemings, 22 points, 8 of 13 from the field. He can absolutely zip all over the court. He is going to provide Houston with the kind of change of pace that's going to be so crucial. I had Houston preseason #1 in my rankings, and a big part of it was coaching staff hasn't changed over, the culture there. You've got 3 key pieces on a team that made the national championship game back, but it's the highest ranked freshman class by far that Kelvin Sampson's ever had. #2 in the country. Duke is #1, and Senak's growth, which I didn't even expect Senak in November to be a guy of like real impact. He's going to grow there. I thought Flemings was going to be the guy who, just by nature of how he can handle the ball, how he can get all across the floor, was going to be impactful. We saw that here today, and that's a really encouraging sign. In fact, there's kind of a theme and a thread through a lot of the results that we're going to talk about on today's pod, where you've got a lot of teams that are not just ranked, a lot of teams that are even in that Final Four conversation won this weekend despite putting on uneven performances, and I think that Houston put on an uneven performance to get the win. You take it every single time, no doubt about it, but it's more of the same. You're a Houston fan, you've become accustomed to this for the most part. They don't win every time, but they win almost every time. They thrive in the chaos. Houston's now 9-1, and it's past 10 games against ranked teams. The only loss, yes, of course, against Florida in the national championship game. Meanwhile, Auburn is 1-14 now all time when it plays the #1 team in the AP poll. That only victory, if you're curious, it's got referenced a few times last season because of how good Auburn was. The only one came in 88 against Kentucky. Just a quick one more note for me on Keyshawn Hall. He has been Auburn's best player. That's not arguable through the first 2 weeks of the season. He's a double-double machine. Statistically, in terms of points and rebounds, there's really only like 5 guys that are in his category right now, Cameron Boozer being one of them. Hopefully his injury is not too serious. Hopefully it's just one of those things where it just was an awkward fall. He'll be good to go. He obviously, he did gut it out in terms of he took the free throws after he got hurt to make, because if you take him out of the game, then the opposing team gets to pick who's going to take the foul shot. Obviously, Kelvin Sampson would have taken the worst foul shooter. Who knows what would have happened there? But Hall took them, made both of them, kept Auburn within close range with about 4 and change to go there. But we were just robbed a little bit there down the stretch of not having him on the floor. If he had been on the floor, I really think their chances of winning would have gone up. I still need to see more from Tahad Pettiford. I'm not breaking news to Auburn fans. If you haven't been dialed in on Auburn, I had alluded to this on the Friday show. Pettiford just hasn't hit yet this season the way that I thought he would. Now, he had 15 points on Sunday, but just 1 assist, pair of steals, pair of blocks, was on the floor for 32 minutes. Overall was 5 of 14 from the field. He's been good, but he has not been what I think he should be. And I thought that he was going to be, he was the last player that I put on my 3rd team preseason All-America ballot, because my thinking was he would be Auburn's most valuable player. He would be a scoring machine. He would be responsible for keeping Auburn firmly in the NCAA tournament conversation and just racking up a ton of usage. Well, that's going to probably be a miss on my end, because if Keyshawn Hall can stay healthy, the way that Stephen Pearl and that staff are deploying him and just how reliable he is. This guy who led the Big 12 in scoring last season while playing at UCF in total obscurity. Super impressed with him for Auburn's sake, and frankly for the SEC's sake, for college basketball's sake. I hope that that Hall's whatever he suffered there isn't a long-term thing, because he is good enough. And if Pettiford puts it together, Parrish, that duo, and they got some other guys, but it's going to be those two primarily. They can be good enough and dynamic enough, and they change a pace like your scout, your prep on them. That can be difficult enough where Auburn can stay in that top 25 conversation more weeks than not this season. But we wait on more in terms of Hall's health in the days to come.
Yeah, with Pettiford, I mean, this is sort of the question about him. Like, he's a little guard, and he, again, this is Houston, so perhaps this isn't a problem against anybody other than what has consistently been the best or one of the best defensive teams in the country. But he got a shot blocked twice in the final 15 seconds. Like that's a problem. Back to Flemings real quick. Just, you remember back in the offseason, it's like they get Milos Usain back.
Yep.
And then is that Pop Isaacs then pops
yes.
at that point?
Basically a sign and trade. Almost.
Yeah, and it was like,
because they weren't going to have both of them on the team. Yeah.
And I think it was reasonable to wonder, like, are you sure you don't need Pop Isaacs? Like, but I guess not if you've got Kingston Flemings, because he's been terrific. This was sort of his breakout game, because it was Houston's first game against a real opponent, and it was on a big stage and all of that. But he's been good. I mean, that first game I think was held in single digits, but after that he's been pretty big consistently. So he's been fabulous. Add him to the list of great freshmen in this historically great freshman class. Next up for Houston, they get Ryder on Thursday. Then it's off to Las Vegas Players Era Festival. Houston, Syracuse next Monday. Houston, Tennessee next Tuesday. Next up for Auburn, Wednesday against Jackson State. Then they go to Las Vegas Players Era Festival. It is Auburn, Oregon next Monday. Auburn, Michigan next Tuesday. I've got it right. You'll be there, right?
I will be there, and I've got to figure out soon here. Just there's just so many games in 2 different buildings. I got to figure out the schedule. But what's the second Auburn game? Auburn, Michigan.
Auburn, Michigan. Auburn, Oregon Monday. Auburn, Michigan next Tuesday.
And then you said it was Houston, Tennessee. So hopefully those games. I would not think that they were. Hopefully those aren't back to back. I'd like to be there in person. But yeah, I'll be there. I'll be flying to Vegas next weekend, and I'll be on the ground there. Looking forward to taking in those 2 and 16 other teams. It'll be a loaded event.
All right, let's keep it moving. Next up, we'll turn our attention to UConn BYU. Nice victory for Dan Hurley's Huskies. We'll dive in next. First, though, let's get a word from our partners.
When you need your sports news all the time,
we've got breaking news to bring to you.
CBS Sports HQ gives you a snapshot of all the sports that matter to you. When you need your sports in a snap, find it on CBS Sports HQ. Streaming free anywhere you are.
Final score, number 3, UConn 86, number 7, BYU 84. That was at TD Garden in Boston. AJ Dybantsa, the fabulous freshman, he got 25 points, 21 in the second half for the Cougars, and showed why he's a candidate to be the first pick of the 2026 NBA draft, but it was not enough. UConn held on, and I mean really held on, for a 2-point win to remain undefeated. Norlander, you wrote about it late Saturday. For people who didn't see the game, I think that final score is misleading because it never felt like that final score implies, man, BYU is right there. It never felt like they were going to win the game. Even at the buzzer, it was a meaningless 2-pointer that created the 2-point difference, but UConn was up 20, and though BYU made a run largely because of Dybantsa, I know they got it to 3 at one point, but it never felt like, oh man, UConn's really going to blow this. Did it to you?
No, but I perked up with about 5 minutes to go.
Yeah.
First half, it was all UConn. Dybantsa looks like he was pedestrian. Maybe it was nerves, maybe it wasn't. This was obviously billed, and this game was booked to be Dybantsa homecoming. Grew up 25 minutes away. Alex Caravan, also from the greater Boston area, did well for himself, had 21 points and played just fine. I think that part of it got overshadowed. But the game was obviously, Dybantsa goes to BYU. He wants to have one game while he's in college, back on his home turf, so to speak. He gets that. They aren't able to get the win. And in the first 20 minutes, UConn was far superior. They looked more ready, more the tactics, the tacticianship. I don't even think that's a word, but just UConn's overall approach to the first half far outpaced BYU. BYU was out of sorts. Dybantsa had 4 points. They weren't able to get a ton. As expected, BYU was shorthanded, and it soon became more shorthanded than it even expected. We did have Kennard Davis travel with the team, didn't play. Kevin Young didn't really divulge too much in the post game, just said it was a violation of team rules. We all know what the team rules were. We're just, again, waiting for more details on what exactly happened with Davis on campus last week. And then Keba Keita, in a play that didn't have a foul called, Silas Demary, who we are very much going to get to in just a second here, he bangs into him, and Keita's a big dude, and he was on the floor for about 2.5 minutes, maybe. He stands up, he's woozy, he needs to be helped off. As they were bringing him off the floor, I was like, and again, I'm not the doctor on this podcast, that's the guy right on the other screen, but I was like, this feels like a concussion, the way he's walking, how long it took him to get up. I doubt he's going to return. He didn't return. So credit to BYU for coming back with down 2 of its 5 starters. Dybantsa goes off in the second half. He had probably 4 or 5 plays where it's like, okay, when he gets drafted, wherever it is, 1, 2, 3, or 4 next June, we're probably going to see all of these plays in the month leading up to that as part of the highlight reel. And it was good. I thought it was a good sign for him and for BYU that he actually really just tapped into something in the second half. And I'm not going to say he went takeover mode, because I think it was just shy of that, but he did pop. I mean, 21 points. It was because of him that they even made it interesting. Richie Saunders had some moments, but he didn't hit a three. That was an issue. Rob Wright III, ball in his hands, chance to tie the game. It's a turnover. 12 seconds to go. He coughs it up, dribbling between his legs. In theory, GP, on that possession, BYU tied it or taken the lead, and then they didn't, and then UConn hit the 2 free throws, and there we go. And then UConn wins. But for the primary takeaway on my column, aside from the Dybantsa stuff, was Demary. You feel free to talk up any other angle you want, but to me, Demary, and part of this is informed by having talked to the UConn staff in the offseason and knowing what kind of player he was. They just did not have someone like him last season. His size, his defense, his athletic ability, his leadership. He's not the reason UConn won, because, again, UConn led essentially wire to wire almost for this game. And he had a couple of buckets. He had a short little one with 3 and change to go, maybe. And that put UConn up 7 when BYU was surging. And then with like a minute and a half to go, he hit just this delicate little 12-foot fadeaway near the baseline, sinks it in. Again, in a moment where like the building is buzzing, you probably got 80% UConn backers in there, and Demary steps up big. UConn's got a lot of guys that can do a lot of different stuff. Him, Terrace Reed, who also had really good moments in the second half, and Caravan, they all finished with 21. Solo Ball didn't have a good game, but you've got enough here where my main takeaway was, okay, a lot of the stuff that we were talking about with UConn heading into the season, that's now coming to fruition. Again, we are super early, and I'm going to see the Huskies in person in another big-time matchup in just a few days when they host Arizona on Wednesday. But at least for this game, when you had a team with the potential number 1 pick really making a surge with really good offensive capability, UConn held on, really steadied itself, and you got a little bit here from Jalen Stewart, you got a little bit here from Jaden Ross. Impressive stuff overall from UConn, and ultimately, although the game wasn't close for the first GP, 65% of it actually did get interesting down the stretch. And I found myself entertained by far the best game of Saturday.
Yeah, I mean, Dybantsa got going, and that's what you're there for, right? Maybe not if you're a UConn fan, but if you're a casual tuning into a college basketball game on a Saturday night, and you've heard about, it's Dan Hurley, it's UConn, it's a blue blood program, and then it's, hey, I heard this guy could be the number 1 pick in the draft. Let's check this out. And he delivered in the second half. He was awesome. And I thought Dan was appropriately very complimentary of him after the game. The Kebakeda stuff was rough. I know you said no foul was called. I don't know that there should have been. It was kind of like a loose ball situation. I
feel like that should have been a foul.
I mean, Demary went in there hard, like a football player.
That felt like it should have been a foul. he got him pretty hard. Now, I know they were both going for it, and sometimes you get a loose ball, and it's like play on. This one with like he was down, and that might have well been the difference. I don't know if he plays the game if they win or not, but not having him obviously a major factor and set them back even further in the first.
I mean, he goes out with 9 minutes to go in the first half, which means, as you touched on, BYU basically played the last 31 minutes of the game down 2 starters.
Yeah,
two presumed starters.
It was 26-12 when he got knocked out.
Yeah,
that was the score when he actually left the game. Yeah,
and so I think you described it accurately. I am a doctor, but I'm not going to play one from North Mississippi about a young man who was injured in Massachusetts. So I'll wait for the official diagnosis. But you said he looked woozy when he got up, and I saw that too. It didn't look good. I was a little bit surprised Brian Daboll and Jackson Dart didn't go to check on him.
Okay.
If you want to mix,
sends in a phone call.
If you want to mix some sports, so we'll see what the update it was him, but it didn't look good, and that makes everything an uphill climb. I mean, you're already down big, and now your big is out. That's tough. With Demary, he was great. And I thought it was interesting that he was great because I don't have the quote right in front of me, but there was an interesting quote from Dan about him last week where he said something along the lines of he's got a contentious relationship with him or something. I don't recall the word exactly, but it was like, you know, it's a push and pull type thing. We're battling a little bit right now.
Yes. I think that's for Hurley. That's a good thing though. Like he wants that. And as long as Demary wants it too, I think that's, he is looking for that. And I think he doesn't say that public. This is my speculation. I haven't talked to Dan about it. My speculation is he doesn't say that publicly if he doesn't know Demary can't handle it privately.
There you go. So he was terrific. Caravan and Reed also got 21. So just in those 3 players, it's a 63 points. And remember, I know there's probably a UConn fan out there. Hey, we were shorthanded too, we're not healthy.
Correct, but they haven't had to make that adjustment yet. Like Braylon Mullins,
Right.
yeah, he still hasn't returned. But I get that. That's all fair and good. But if anything, be more encouraged by it, because you held BYU without an assist for the first 17 minutes and 45 seconds of the game, and BYU didn't even hit a 3-pointer period until there was 1:05 to go on the clock in the first half. So I know you were shorthanded, but I'd be even more encouraged by the fact that we're still not at full strength, and you saw what we could do against a top 10, top 15 opponent.
Right. I guess that's my larger point, is that UConn looks awesome and they're not whole, and it's early. So I mean, if you saw the post-game interview Dan did with Raph, he seems to really like this team and what he believes this team can become. Now, I know he had similar thoughts and statements heading into last season, and we know how that went. But when I listen to him talk, I hear a man that feels pretty good about where things are at right now and is confident about where they can head. I think the quote he gave Raph was something along the lines of, I think this team is going to be good enough to compete for the things we like to compete for at UConn. And he said it with a slight smile and a smirk, perhaps. And, I understand why. They look the part. I don't know if they'll win a third national championship in a 4-year span, but they clearly look like one of the handful of teams that has the goods to do it.
Yeah, for sure. And we're getting a lot of interesting just gameplay, not necessarily results. UConn hasn't lost yet, or they've been playing well, and it's kind of reinforced my thinking, and many others, GP included, that this team should be in that top 5 conversation overall. BYU enabled UConn to shoot 57% from the floor. Now, overall, and a lot of this is Cata's doing. BYU's also played 2 bye games. So again, we're just way too early to really glean too much. I need at least 3 or 4 more games worth of sample size, but defensively they do seem improved. It didn't come to bear on Saturday night, unfortunately, for BYU, which, by the way, was in a top 10 game for the first time since the 2011 Mountain West Championship game. BYU was also on the losing end of that. That was San Diego State. That was the Jimmer year. BYU was a 3 seed. That was a double-digit deficit that they wound up on the wrong end of. Here, they wound up being just 2 points shy. And as for UConn, one stat, they're 24-10 against ranked competition since the start of the 22-23 season. It's more wins and a better winning clip than any team in the sport, with at least 10 games against ranked teams in that span. That's obviously no huge surprise when you factor in the 2 NCAA tournament runs. But yeah, I think your big picture takeaway on UConn is they got a good push. We see a lot of encouragement and reasons why last season should be considered the aberration and this season should be different. But as I led my column with late on Saturday night, Dan Hurley opted in to the obstacles. After having an up and down season a season ago, it would have been understandable if UConn simply had a pretty good non-conference schedule, but one that was, obviously outside of the top 5 toughest or top 10 toughest. That's not what this is. UConn might have the toughest non-conference schedule. And if it's not the toughest, it's going to be in that top 5 conversation. And that's obviously an indication on just Hurley's mindset and approach, but also the talent that he knows he has on this team. And you're 1 down, 5 to go over the next 27 days, by the way. Next up will be Arizona on Wednesday. We'll just, we'll get to that. We'll get to that one on our Wednesday show, but we got another biggie coming to stores on Wednesday night, and I can't wait for that one.
Yeah, that'll be at Gamble. UConn, Arizona on Wednesday. Next up for BYU, it's a game with Wisconsin in Salt Lake City. That'll come on Friday. Hey, you want to do the weekend whip around next?
Let's whip it around, baby.
Hey, watch yourself.
Let's whip it around. Let's go.
Watch yourself. I'm going to need a word from our partners.
You can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS and Paramount Plus. So even if you can't count on accurate expiration dates,
that is a rookie mistake,
or people appreciating your fashion sense,
Jim, the crowd is not on board here.
you can always count on Sundays with the NFL on CBS, streaming on Paramount Plus.
Glad we wear our good jerseys.
Yeah.
All right, Norlander, we've talked Houston, Auburn. We have talked UConn, BYU. Now it's time for the weekend whip around. Let's whip it around. Let's whip it around a little bit. Let's whip it around a little bit.
You have to start with LA Friday night. A lot to get to, but this is clearly, if the first two are the two most notable results, Arizona 65, UCLA 60, Arizona 69, nice, UCLA 65, in a game, played in the spirit of Bill Walton, which I love to see.
Kareem was there.
Kareem was there. Kareem was on the broadcast.
Yeah, that was great. I just like hearing from Kareem. Period.
So do I. And I honestly, like, we can get into the game, but on that note, I love hearing from Kareem. He's talked about Bill so much. Again, Kareem is the best college player ever, and Bill Walton is top 5 at worst. And you can make the argument that Walton's top 3. It's not that hard to get there. They, back to back with each other, never played with each other, and they defined the greatest dynasty in the history of men's college basketball. And to hear Kareem, I love it. But Kareem, as he was talking about Bill, and he's gotten some of this, but there can never be too much praise of Lou Alcindor's days in college and Kareem Abdul-Jabbar and what he did at the NBA level and his overall basketball career, even dating into high school. Our buddy Seth Davis has said this before. Others have as well. If you're going to judge the best basketball career ever and you take high school, college, and pro into account, Kareem Abdul-Jabbar probably the winner, frankly. And
it is, I don't mean to interrupt. It is insulting that he is not a more prominent part of the GOAT conversation. We tend to limit that to Michael and LeBron.
Yeah.
But Kareem belongs in that. You go look at his accolades, and it's ridiculous. He had an incredible career at the high school level, college level, at the professional level. If we're going to have GOAT conversations, it should be a 3-person conversation, and Kareem should be a part of it.
Without a doubt. And my favorite, I've mentioned this on the show previously, but my favorite random Kareem Abdul-Jabbar fact is he was a writer for a brief time on the show Veronica Mars, which I just absolutely love. Underrated show, by the way. He for a while wrote columns. He was just very talented writer. Like as someone who reads columns every day and has written them for years, like, I know who's good and who's bad, and he's good. Like, I would hire Kareem Abdul-Jabbar to write for me if I were in a position to do those types of things. Imagine Kareem Abdul-Jabbar just sitting down, lurching over the computer, doing a top 25 and 1 every day.
Being like, all right, GP, I'm gonna get this to you in 45 minutes. I'm like, all right, Kareem, just drop it in Slack when you're done. What if I told Kareem to drop a column in Slack?
Kareem Abdul-Jabbar in Slack. Please, no. The man is above all of that. He deserves more conversation. He has done plenty of talking and has been willing and wanting to about Walton. And we'll do our small little part here on the show. More love on Kareem while he's still around and with us. That was one of my takeaways as I was watching the game. As for the game, Koa Pete, subpar, and it didn't matter. One of my biggest takeaways. He had 7 points, 4 boards, 6 turnovers, 4 fouls. Wasn't a deal. Arizona won anyway. Arizona shot 60% from the field in the second half and was able to overcome a really good fight. UCLA played the game mostly on its terms. Arizona still found a way to win. I love that sign. This is a team that I picked, preseason to make the Final Four. Had them in my top 10, and right now they're making me look just a-okay. They've got 2 wins over power conference opponents, and not just that, ranked ones. You had Florida to start the season, and now UCLA, both teams in the top 15 at the time of those games. Zona had a 20-8 scoring run in the final 7 minutes to kind of not entirely turn off UCLA's water. But if you were watching how the game was playing out late, Arizona was in control. And Anthony Del Orso, he had 20 points off the bench, 5 3-pointers. He had his threes were coming, sporadically throughout the game, and they were all in big spots. And then Jaden Bradley has what you want. He has experience, athleticism, good instincts, and now this is 2 big games where I've seen him show up late and make big buckets. He did it again against UCLA. Credit to Tommy Lloyd's team for getting that done. On the UCLA end, Tyler Bilodeau, 19 points. Eric Daly, 13 points and 5 boards. Donovan Dent, he had 8 assists. He had 11 points. He has not yet been, and just give it a little more time. Not everyone's going to pop right away. He hasn't been bad. He just hasn't been, he hasn't been one of the 10 best players in the sport right away. And we both picked him as our preseason transfer of the year, thinking that he would be the most impactful new face in a new place. But competitive game. Going to repeat what plenty of people have said because we need to hammer this home. These teams need to play every year. It's the West Coast. You don't have as many teams that are prominent out there. They're no longer in the same conference. That's still super weird. It's weird as hell to me that UCLA and Arizona don't share a roof under the same league. But shy of that, every year, and they're going to play again next year. If we can get to a rotation where it's home neutral, one in Tucson, one in Westwood, and then make it Vegas or make it Phoenix or make it LA, whatever. It seems like Tommy and Mick are very much in on this idea. I hope they don't lose momentum on that, because there are certain schools where it feels bigger. Arizona, UCLA, that is absolutely the case. And hopefully in perpetuity, we get this game, because obviously it will only be once a year moving forward in the regular season now that they're no longer in the same conference.
Sometimes schools or athletic departments or even coaches get weird about conference changes. Like I remember, not weird, maybe that's the wrong word, but I remember, I guess it was when Texas left the Big 12 for the SEC. And people would ask Bill Self, like, are you going to continue the Texas series? Because that was a great series for years. And he was like, we were happy to play them. They wanted to go be in somebody else's league, so they can go do that. He was like, no, we're not. I don't know that he said no, but it was like they made their choice. They can go. Obviously, this whole Pac-12 thing, it fell apart in the way that it fell apart. And I like the idea that Mick and Tommy are continuing this series. And I hope that, just to echo what you said, I hope they play every year. Arizona and UCLA should be playing basketball. Yeah, Vegas is fine, but, leave it up to me. Let's put it in Tucson. Let's put it at Pauley. I like being on the campuses. But we should be able to turn on the television at least once a season and be like, okay, Arizona, UCLA is playing. This is good. Mm-hmm. Del Orso was terrific. Interesting story here. He started 28 games last season. Mm-hmm. And now he's coming off the bench, playing behind two freshmen, early candidate for sixth man of the year. He's averaging 13.5 points, 45% from three for an Arizona team that I've got fifth in the top 25 and one. I know we will talk Arizona, UConn on Wednesday's pod.
Yep.
But let's go ahead and just real quick question.
Yep.
Arizona wins that one.
You're putting them at number one in the top 25.
I mean, at some point, do you just have to go? They got 2 wins over preseason top 5 teams, 3 wins over top 15 teams. Yes. I'm just going to respect the resume. Arizona straight to number one if they win on Wednesday night.
Correct. If they win in Gamble, it's in Gamble. It's not even hard. They win in Gamble, you have to jump them to number one.
I think at certain
points, they will have by far, again, 2.5 weeks worth of games. There won't even be someone close that will have the resume that will match them again. They got to win the game. We'll see. It's going to be tough. Yeah. If they do it, they should be number one.
I think I'd have a hard time arguing with you. And I'm not somebody who likes to move number one teams down without losing. But if you were ever going to do it, it might be Thursday morning if Arizona is coming off of a win at UConn. Elsewhere, on Friday, let's just stick with Friday for a second. Number 19, Gonzaga, 77. Arizona State, 65. It's a road win over a power conference opponent. Those are good to collect in November. Arizona State cut it to 5 in the second half. Never got closer than that. Graham Ike, 20 points, 9 rebounds, 12 of 15 from the free throw line. I don't know what else there is to say about it other than another nice road win for the Zags.
Yeah, no, we can keep it moving. I will also see Gonzaga. That's another team that's going to Players Era. They play next Monday against Alabama. I will 100% be in the building to see that game, to see the Zags. Friday night, the other game that I had my eye on, Michigan beating TCU 67-63. Yet another team, I was pretty high on them. I had number 4 preseason overall. They haven't really found themselves yet, and that's totally understandable. The own wins over Wake and TCU, 2 teams I don't expect to be in the NCAA tournament, but those were both wins not in Michigan's own building, and the TCU win was on the road. They won the game because of Marez Johnson Jr. and Yaxel Lendeborg. Those 2 won the game. Michigan had 22 turnovers. It was sloppy. Turnovers were also a bugaboo for the Wolverines last season. I know Dusty and that coaching staff are extremely aware of this. We'll see if they can curb plenty of that. Elliot Cadeau had a couple of turnovers where it's like, man, you want to transfer, leave Carolina, go to Michigan, and be a guy who's going to be a big-time player on a team that's going to contend for a Big Ten championship, get a 1, 2, 3 seed. You got to work that stuff out of your system. We'll see if he can do it or not. It is a good sign that Michigan was able to put up, again, a subpar performance and get the win. Just their 3rd game of the season. But TCU, you're not projected to be a top 10 team in the Big 12. You get Michigan in your building. You're leading for plenty of it. and you just toss it away. Didn't have a good shooting night, had a couple of bad shots overall. You have to take advantage of those opportunities. They didn't. This is a classic example of sometimes when you're a good team and you don't play well and things are, many reasons, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 reasons are going against you why you lose the game. You win it anyway. If you're not a good team, usually can't overcome that stuff. A prime example there Friday night in Fort Worth.
The turnovers were the story. I mean, they had 2 transfers get double-doubles. Yaxel had 14 and 10, while Johnson 10 and 12. But 22 turnovers is a lot. And it has been a story for that program for the past couple of years. Their turnover rate right now is 20.1, which ranks 268th nationally, according to BarTorvik.com. Elliot Cadeau is averaging a career worst 4 turns per game. And 3 other Michigan players are averaging at least 2 turns per game. So got to get that control. You don't even want to know where Michigan is if I remove preseason bias and sort data. You don't even want to know. I don't even want to tell you.
I don't want to know.
I mean,
I don't. Let us get through player. Let us get to the Friday after Thanksgiving, and then we'll start talking about filtering through and sorting all the data. Okay.
I'm just saying it's not great.
I'm sure that's the case, but
it's 28. It's 28. It's not as bad as I'm implying.
UCLA is like 113th or whatever, so that's a little bit better there.
By
the way,
I don't think you're. There's 2 things I've noticed about you lately.
Okay.
1, you're not sorting your data enough.
Don't need to yet.
And 2, you're not in your scripture.
I'm not. No.
I can tell. It shows.
Yeah.
It shows.
I'm comfortable with that. By the way, the poll question to start the show was, which of these 4 teams do you trust the most yet? Purdue, UConn, Houston, Duke. Purdue winning that poll with 42% according to our live audience. UConn 24%, Houston 22%, and then Duke 11%. I didn't put Arizona in the poll, or Josh technically put up the poll. Appreciate you, Josh, on that, because Arizona is the most trustworthy team so far. It has the best wins, but obviously Arizona getting plenty of respect there. But Purdue, real quick before we continue on, Purdue, UConn, Houston, Duke. Who do you trust the most right now of those 4?
I'll go with Purdue since I have Purdue number 1 in the top 25 and 1. But if you would allow me to say 2, I would say Purdue and Houston, just because of the coaches, of the pros, just everything about them. A single elimination tournament at the end of this thing can lead to all sorts of wacky results, as you know. Mm-hmm. But that acknowledged, I trust those programs. I feel like, despite how things can get weird sometimes, like those are. We're not going to be in March talking about what's going on with Purdue, what's going on with Houston. They're going to be top 10 all year, part of the conversation all season. I'd be shocked if that's not true.
All right, let's keep it moving. A couple of, I don't know if we call them homecoming games, but a couple of coaches going back to their old stomping grounds and both get the wins in road environments. I did not have this, GP. One on Saturday, one on Sunday. Full transparency, I was on babysitting duty. My brother, who lives about 15, 20 minutes from me, had to go to a wedding, and so he's got 3 boys, all under 6 and under, and so wife helped out for the first half, and then took our kids home. Point is, it was time to get those kids out of the house into the nearby park and playground. So the Maryland Marquette game, I saw almost none of it. Maryland gets the win there. So I can speak to the result, the outcome. I checked in on some of the stuff and notes afterward, but I was actually very intrigued on that game. And when you've got the kids just going nuts in the house, it's like, we got to get out of the house. Let's go play some wiffle ball, get it done. Had to make the sacrifice there to make sure that everything was all in place for Saturday night with UConn BYU. So we can start there. I know Chase Ross had himself a nice game with 31, but it wasn't enough. And I know that Marquette, just gave up way too many opportunities. And the thing that I didn't see from this game, but I obviously heard about, and apparently I don't want to see, is Pharrell Payne took a really bad spot. I didn't see it. I know it was bad. And obviously very bad news for Maryland, because he could actually be the team's best player. Floor is yours, GP.
I did not see it live. Went and did the Twitter search for it and was like, oh, it's one of those that when you see it, it makes you make a sound. Yep. You know, that kind of injury where it makes you make a sound. It'll make you make a sound. It's that was not nice to see, but it was nice to see Buzz back in Milwaukee, even if it was a different arena.
Yep.
And he got, I think it was a mixed reaction.
Okay.
You could reasonably describe it as a mixed reaction, which it's fine. I mean, he did leave you for Virginia Tech. I mean, I get it.
He did.
I mean, on some level.
That's so far in the past, but
I know.
when that is happening, and this doesn't need to be a 5-minute offshoot, but when that whole thing was like going down, it was kind of like, what the hell is Buzz Williams doing? And that's kind of been, that's just his MO. He's there for a place, 5, 6, 7 seasons, change of scenery, and that's just how he's handled his career. So getting a little bit of a mixed reaction doesn't surprise me. I think on the Friday show I said I didn't think he'd be outright booed, and it would be mostly warm. But I understand if there was some jeers as well as cheers.
Yeah, I get that. But it looking back on it, it makes no sense whatsoever on a surface level for a successful Marquette coach to take over a bad Virginia Tech program. But if you know Buzz at all, and you ever talk to Buzz at all, it makes sense with the way he approaches life. It made sense to him, and he can explain it to you. If he is interested in explaining to you, he can explain it to you and make a lot of sense, even if on a surface level it was A, confusing, and B, not the type of thing a lot of other coaches would have done. There aren't a lot of coaches who would have left Marquette after all that success, still in a good place, and take a job like that. But Buzz is maybe the one guy who would. But the mixed reaction, I guess, was not surprising. Then Josh Pastner comes back to Memphis on Sunday for his homecoming game. He, of course, coached the Tigers for 7 seasons, and he got a really nice reception. It was kind and sweet, and he smiled and acknowledged the crowd, and his wife was there, and his father was there, and his kids were there, and I just thought it was the sweetest. It was really nice to see because, like I've said before, he did a better job taking over that program after John Calipari than I think Memphis fans realized in real time. Because you were just used to winning every game and going to the Elite Eight and going, it was like, we win every game and go to the Elite Eight every year. What is this? He won 2 conference championships regular season, a conference tournament championship, went to the NCAA tournament more times than not. And remember when he got this job, he's 31 years old.
Yeah.
Replacing John Calipari. And if you go look at his NCAA tournament losses at Memphis, do you know who knocked him out of the tournament? I think this is right. Tom Izzo, Tony Bennett, Rick Majerus, Sean Miller. I mean, he ran into monsters as a young head coach. I mean, Majerus, Izzo, and Bennett. I mean, what are we doing? So I think given everything that's happened since Josh left, the Tubby Smith years being a disaster, the Penny Hardaway years being a roller coaster.
Yep.
Memphians have a better appreciation for the impossible job Josh took over, and you were never going to be able to meet the standards that John Calipari set. But with the benefit of hindsight, it's clear he did better than people realize. And this is true. He is the most successful Memphis coach since John Calipari, still to this day.
Stop disrespecting me, bro.
Point taken,
Stop
Penny.
disrespecting me, bro.
I don't mean it. I don't mean it that way, Penny. I don't mean it that way. But it is just true. Now to the game.
Oh, okay. This is floor is all yours because this is a disaster for Memphis. And I know, again, 3 games into the season, you couldn't pull it off on the road against Ole Miss. Completely understandable. You have a UNLV team come into your building that is bottom half, Mountain West, has losses at home to UT Martin and Montana. And credit to Montana, probably the best team in the Big Sky. It's not a bad team, but for that level, you do not lose. You shouldn't, if you're UNLV, you shouldn't be losing to Montana 9 out of 10 times. You're one under pass or whatever. They take the loss. Then they go in, and it is no nonsense. It is no nonsense running Memphis out of their own building.
Yeah.
And it just, I know Parrish on some level, this is just, load them up and let's go because you talk about them all the time. But this program, it's never not something. It really is. It's just never not something with the Memphis Tigers in the off seasons, during the season, unnecessary losses. You've got Purdue, by the way, coming up next on Thursday down at Baha Mar. Good luck with that. There is a reasonable scenario in which Memphis is going to be a 1-4 program, and its NCAA tournament hopes are kaput, except for the fact if you can win the automatic bid in the American. Really bad just turn of events. I guess it'd be one thing if UNLV eked out a win and it was a crazy game and the vibes were just, Pastors in the building, weird stuff happens. That's not what this was.
No.
It was, we're going to kick your butt and take names, hop on the jet back home with the W. I was dumbfounded how Memphis lived down to its reputation just in terms of metrics. They haven't been seen. I had them top 40 going into the season. That was on me. I was wrong. And now they're playing way from behind, and they need to overcome this. They still have a lot of more opportunities in the non-conference, but right now we're at a point where, again, we are early. So I'll allow for some chance that they can actually figure this out and Penny can get some wins. But if he doesn't, this goes super sideways, super fast. And you and I are talking on this podcast a month from now about a Memphis team that has twice as many losses as it does wins. And suddenly, as someone asked him to chant, is Penny on the hot seat? If it is going to be that kind of season, unquestionably, and there's going to be some big questions in that town. Floor is yours.
They scheduled aggressively once again to try to build an at-large resume, given that there is nothing in the American that provides you with quality victories. And they looked and have looked wildly ill-equipped to handle the schedule. You know, they've got Purdue, and then after that, either Wake Forest, Texas Tech. Elsewhere on the schedule, they have a 4-game stretch coming up where it is Louisville, Baylor, Vanderbilt, and Mississippi State. If you just go to KenPom right now and you look at their 12-game non-league schedule, one of the games still has to be put on there because it'll be Texas Tech or Wake Forest. But just know that Texas Tech and Wake Forest are both rated ahead of Memphis in the computers.
They'll be projected to win no matter what.
Okay. What do you think? 12 games, just KenPom projections, 12 non-league games. What should Memphis, if Memphis wins the game, KenPom says you'll win, lose the game, KenPom says you'll lose. What is it going to be? 12 games.
I'll say 5-7.
3-9.
Oh my God.
I mean, buddy.
3-9. 3-9. I don't want to say can't happen. It obviously can, but that is
It would be 3-8 going into conference play with a February non-league game at Utah State still on your schedule that you would be an underdog.
Utah State.
Yeah.
And that's not going to be an easy.
I mean, this could get really bad. Really bad.
Or they can figure out a way to fix it and it gets and you salvage it. I'll allow for that, but
I will tell you,
man,
I have personally seen
you show up on this game on this Sunday. Pastner comes into your building and you win with conviction. That's what you need to get done, and they failed the test miserably.
Yeah, and so now a 2-game losing streak with Purdue on deck. I mean, we'll see, but Memphis has shown very little to make you think that can be competitive. And this thing could go sideways. You know, they're one of, I think, 11 teams with a totally new roster. Not one returning player, not one person who played 1 minute last season. And these are the teams that can blow up on you. And it looks like he might have got caught with a team that is not built for this schedule. And I was going to say things can get real ugly because they can. But I can just tell you, as somebody who's been here my whole life, it's different now. Like, even the building looks different now.
Right. Yeah.
Like
different from when Pastner was in his final season.
Oh, yes. I mean, the season ticket sales have dwindled. Actual butts and seats. It looks nothing like it used to look. And if the team is then also bad, like, here's the other thing I hear from friends all the time. I don't even know who there's on the team. I don't know the players. I don't know any of these people. There's a real disconnect. Even Penny has talked about this. And the hope was that they win some games to get people reengaged. In reality, this is this. The Grizzlies are struggling. Tiger football team was supposed to go to the college football playoff. They've now lost 2 straight. It's rough down here.
Pine City Media.
It's rough down here, man. We're sad. We're sad as shit.
Jeez, it's tough scenes, buddy.
It's tough down here, man.
Keep your chin up there. We'll get to the Florida's working its way to a victory, but we'll save that for the very last result. A few more to tour around on the weekend. Georgetown beat Clemson 79-74. Career high 26 from KJ Lewis. Malik Mack had 16 points and 7 rebounds. Georgetown, it was actually, felt like a little bit of a toss-up game, and then Georgetown was just the smarter team, the tougher team down the stretch. They get the win. And if you're a Georgetown fan, we're early, but man, you've got to
enjoy it.
You've got to enjoy this, because right now, I have a buddy who went to Georgetown as an alum, and right now there's some hope. You beat Maryland on its home floor, and you beat Clemson. That Could we be one of the 4 best teams in the Big East? And if we're one of the 4 best teams in the Big East, that means we should go to the NCAA tournament, right? We'll see on that. We'll save the Big East conversation, give it another week's worth of games. The league's got to do some more overall. But I put this out on Twitter on Saturday. Where Georgetown is right now is a spot that the program hasn't been in for well over a decade. And specifically what I am referring to is that it has won 2 games in the non-conference play against high major opponents 4 games into the season. There have been 7 of the previous 8 seasons, Parrish. Georgetown did not even win 2 games against high major teams in non-conference play, period. They didn't win 2 of them. They already have 2 of them now. The only time they did it in the past 7, 8 seasons was in the 2019-2020 season. They didn't win 1 high major game, period, in the non-con in 21-22 or period for the entire schedule there. But a year ago, it took them to the 11th game to get their second high major non-con win, or second high major win. 2 years ago, game 15. The year before that, in 2020, game 28. 21-22, it never came. 2021, 12th game. Year before that, game 8. Year before that, game 14, 16, 11, game 7, game 11, game 12. You are in a very nice spot early. The offense is not going to be pretty. Georgetown's not going to be beating teams 91-83. That's just not going to be what the case is most nights. But at least you've got some real confidence. We don't have to linger too long on this result. But when you do something that is going against what you've done for a decade plus, it's worth acknowledging there. And the Hoyas doing good for themselves. Ed Cooley might really be a mover and a shaker in year 3.
I keep getting tweets from Georgetown fans or
They want him ranked, don't they?
Oh man, they want him in the top 25. Slow down. All right.
Yeah.
Slow down. You have yet to beat a team that is in the top 25 and 1. I'm not saying that's what it takes. I'm just saying you hadn't done that yet. But I'm excited for you. You know me, I'm always talking about stuff like this. I'm a child of the 80s, born in the late 70s, fell in love with college basketball in the 80s. Georgetown was a big brand. UNLV was a big brand. I would love for those programs to be relevant. And if Ed has gotten Georgetown to that place in this season, then that's awesome stuff. I'm paying attention, Georgetown fans. You're on my radar. We're just not there yet.
Couple more. Nebraska beat Oklahoma 105-99. This is very much that one's on me. I was wrong. I turned the game off. Oklahoma was in control late, and then they blew it. They blew a 16-point deficit. Nebraska overcame it. Good job by Fred Hoiberg. Price Sanford, career high 28 points. Might be a dude there. Nebraska has won its last 8 games. Nebraska has the longest win streak in men's Division I college basketball because
they won that Las Vegas thing.
They are your reigning crown champions, which I heard a rumor that they're going to hang a banner. Maybe they already did hang a banner for winning the crown in Pinnacle Bank. I'd advise against that. You just don't need a reason for folks to give you reasons to.
By the way, that is exactly right. That is exactly the conversation that should take place. And this is like a good lesson for. I am blown away by billion-dollar companies and big entities that make these decisions where if you'd have just thought it through, you could have been like, I could have seen this coming. So here's exactly the thing. This is the conversation that should happen in Nebraska. Hey, we're thinking about, we won that tournament in Vegas last year, right? The tournament that you only get to go to if you're not good enough to play in the NCAA tournament. Right, that one. Okay. I guess we were there. Might as well win it, but what are you asking me? Thinking about hanging a banner for the crown. Is that what we called that thing? Yeah. The tournament that you only are invited to if you're not good enough to play in the NCAA tournament. That's right. We're going to celebrate that with a banner. That's what I would like to do. Okay, let's hang it. What do you think happens as soon as we hang it? Somebody takes a picture of it. Right. Then what happens? It goes on social media. Right. Then what happens? People make fun of it. We get laughed at. People goof on it. Okay, then let's just skip that. Good conversation. I don't know why more people don't have those conversations. What's going to happen when people react to this thing we're thinking about doing? We will get made fun of. Are we going to be comfortable with that, or will we bow to the pressure? We'll probably be uncomfortable and eventually take it down because we'll feel stupid. All right, then let's just not put it up and skip all that. We just talked it through. I don't know why more people don't approach things like that.
They should put up you don't just walk into Pinnacle Bank banner before.
That's right. That is actually a worthy banner. Like a big banner, like the The pay heed. KU thing.
Yes, that's what Nebraska. In fact, we've got a few folks who follow us that can be
okay. Nebraska. Now we got
with
okay.
Photoshop. I need you don't just walk into Pinnacle Bank Arena banner photoshopped somewhere inside that building. Because by the way, as always remains my take on this podcast, you actually do, and many teams have. But this guy over here believes that you don't just walk into Pinnacle Bank. I'm
telling you don't. I'm telling you you don't. I'm telling you you don't. That's a great banner. That's something that should happen. Huge banner right above like the main entrance into Pinnacle Bank. You walk into Pinnacle Bank for the first time, and the first thing you see, huge banner, and it says, you don't just walk into Pinnacle Bank. Period. That's all it says. You don't just walk into Pinnacle Bank. You don't even have to do the little M-Gary Parrish, CBS Sports. I don't even need credit.
He doesn't want the royalties. He doesn't want any of it. Just get it up there.
I mean, no, I do want it badly.
Okay.
I want the attention and the credit, all that stuff. I want it badly. I just don't want to ask for it. All right. I don't want to be one of those people who is like, and you need to put my name on it and give me credit. There's nothing lamer than a bunch of journalists on Twitter begging for people to give them credit. Shut up,
it's
nerd.
True, but when the situation calls for it, if someone beats you the story, give them credit. That's all. Something to be said for that. That's all.
The dudes who bitch about not getting credit are the ones who won't give credit to the other guy when they break the story.
We're shifting very far afield right now. Let's keep it inside Pinnacle Bank.
So here's what I'm saying. If I'm being honest, if you'll allow me to be honest, I would love the credit. I would love for it to say, you don't just walk into Pinnacle Bank, M- all caps, Gary Parrish.
First reported by Pete Thamel.
First reported by Pete Thamel. No. I invented this. Pete's going to tell you who's going to be the next Florida coach. All right.
He's going to tell you who's going to be the next Florida wide receivers coach. Okay?
Yes. Okay. Pete's going to tell you who's going to be the next defensive back coach at LSU. I'm here to invent slogans. All right. You don't just walk into Pinnacle Bank, all caps, Gary Parrish. That's what I would like, but I don't need it. I would like it, but I don't need it. But that would be an awesome sign. Wouldn't that be an awesome banner?
Make it happen. Someone please Photoshop.
At the very least, get us a Photoshop of it.
Make it look halfway decent. Would love to see that. A couple more results. Ohio State held on narrowly to beat Notre Dame 64-63. Bruce Thornton had 24 points. Just Ohio State projected as a tournament team. Notre Dame's on the upswing. I like their prospects this season. Get the job done. Not beautiful, but made it happen. And then historical note, Matthews Arena in Northeastern opened in 1910. I say was because it played its final men's D1 game. The hockey team actually is officially closing the building down there, but had been the oldest continuously active men's basketball arena in the sport. Northeastern lost 85-74 to Vermont. This was, according to the Wikipedia page, the oldest multi-purpose athletic building still in use. So period, in the entire country, as well as the oldest arena used for ice hockey. The original home of the Boston Bruins and the Boston Celtics. Celtics played there in the 40s and 50s. Trivia time!
Okay, let's go.
Unintentional connection here on this trivia time, by the way. Okay. With Matthews Arena, no more. Chat, I'm going to ask you to hold back, please. Okay? Or GP, just don't look at the chat.
I'm not.
What is now the oldest active arena in college basketball?
The Palestra.
That is incorrect, but Palestra's like top 4. Your hint on this is someone who has been mentioned on this very podcast, quite famously played high school games in this arena.
Hinkle.
It's not Hinkle. Hinkle's, I also think, in the top 5, but it's not in the top 3. Levitas at Harvard is 2, and I want to say what's 3 because I think Heck Ed at Washington might be 3. Anyway, that's not the answer.
Okay, one more guess.
It's in the Eastern time zone. I
got it. Fiserv Forum.
I knew that was coming. Fiserv Forum.
Pauley Pavilion?
No. Rose Hill Gymnasium, home of the Fordham Rams, has been open since 1925. A young Lou Alcindor once put up some big numbers in that building. So coincidentally enough, we talk about Kareem on the show, and yes, he once once balled the hell out there way back in the day before traveling cross country to play for John Wooden, the second best coach in the history of UCLA. The game's not over, but I'm going to call it over. And by the way, I remember in the offseason, I'm talking about Florida, Miami. I remember in the offseason when the rules got tweaked for monitor reviews and coaches challenges, and the idea like we're gonna slow the number of stoppages in the game. And I think there's going to be some progress to that, but I know I wrote about it, and I think I said it on the show. If you think that this is going to suddenly change to where we're having Division I games clock in at 2 hours flat, you are sadly mistaken, because we fired this podcast up an hour after Florida and Miami tipped. It's now 10:37 Eastern. They're just at the under 4 second half timeout. Florida's up 75-61. Thankfully, we don't have to improv on the spot here and talk about a Gators team losing. Right now, we are sitting pretty to have that game cover in the Final Four and 1. You're going to have beat me this past weekend. But, yeah, Gators should handle the Canes here in Jacksonville and get it done. I was hoping we'd be able to talk about a final score. That's not happening. We're not hanging around until that game's over before we wrap.
Just a couple of more individual performances I wanted to note, since we are talking about this fabulous freshman class every episode. Cameron Boozer at Duke, 35 points and 12 rebounds in Friday's win over Indiana State. And then at Illinois, David Merkovich got 27 points, 21 rebounds in Friday's 84-65 win over Colgate, became the first Illinois player to get 20-plus points and 20-plus rebounds in the same game since Nick Weatherspoon. I apologize. Nick Weatherspoon back in 1972. So John Weatherspoon, actor?
I'm Googling John Weatherspoon right now. See what pops up. I love this game. Actor. Yes. Great call. John Weatherspoon. We lost him in 2019.
Damn.
Made it to 77. Oh, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, Wayans Brothers, Tracy Morgan, Joe, Boondocks. Man, there we go.
Rest in peace.
I recognize the face. John Weatherspoon. You're going into no context preview.
Yeah, this is Nick. I'm talking about Nick, though. Nick had a 20-plus points, 20-plus rebound game back in 1972. I'm sure John heard about it at the very least. And nobody had done that in all the years since until David Merkovich. So now Illinois' got a great freshman, too?
Yeah.
At least one?
And he wasn't even the one that
I know. That's the thing.
When you sat down with Brad, it was Wagler, right?
I did not talk to him specifically. I didn't ask him to rank his freshmen.
Okay. Well, I think Underwood in the preseason was talking up Keaton Wagler like a ton, and now it's Merkovich who's actually stepped up. And Illinois looking pretty solid so far. Obviously, got the win over Texas Tech last weekend. They will play Alabama this upcoming week. We'll preview that on the Wednesday morning show. Some big time matchups there. Speaking of games that are looming ahead, let's tell the people what they need to know for Monday, and then obviously we got some stuff to talk about on Tuesday before we get out of here.
Okay, Monday's not great.
There is one intriguing one.
Well, VCU at NC State, is that it's
Will
Wade against VCU?
School. Now it's not Will Wade in Richmond. He has done that before, and VCU fans showed up in faux FBI gear, and there's a great video out there because I remember like they're on the baseline. They're literally like they're on the baseline and the LSU bench is right there, and you got these VCU fans like flashing phony badges right at Will Wade, and we've credited Will Wade with just kind of rolling with it and never taking himself too seriously in this regard. Would love to see him get back there, but that's not that. VCU is going to play at NC State. Will Wade going against a former team is just intriguing. Generally speaking, we think NC State will win the game, but VCU, one of many A-10 teams that have fared well for themselves in the first 2 weeks of the season.
Tulsa at Kansas State. I saw Tulsa at the Veterans Classic a couple of Fridays ago, and like I'm not saying watch out Purdue, but in the American, they looked like a team good enough to compete at the top of the American, even though I believe they were picked 7th in the preseason poll. Keep an eye on that one. Tulsa at Kansas State. And then if you like in-state stuff, Oregon State at Oregon. Special shouts, Beaver Fever.
Of course. If you're wondering what Beaver Fever is, well, you're a newbie to the show. You gotta get it in the knowledge there.
I know, but be careful Googling that one.
That's correct.
Be careful Googling.
It goes without saying. Honestly, it goes without saying. Tuesday,
Beaver Fever could take you a lot of different places, buddy.
Tuesday,
I'm gonna do it.
Champions Classic.
I'm gonna Google it. You talk about the Champions Classic. I'm gonna Google Beaver Fever and see what's going on.
We have to talk about it. And unfortunately, we have injury issues affecting the night. it's going to get started with Kentucky against Michigan State, and the status of Jalen Lowe as we speak at this hour is just undetermined. He hurt his shoulder again. Kentucky played Friday night, cruising runaway win against Eastern Illinois. The next game is Tuesday at the Garden. I'll be there on hand to see MSU Kentucky. That is a just a heads up, that is a 6:30 Eastern tip on ESPN. As someone who's going to be in the building, I love it. 6:30 as opposed to 7:05 or 7:10. Yes, please. But we don't know what Jalen Lowe's status is. He got multiple opinions on what's going on with the shoulder. It's now popped out a couple of times, and it's a question of he's not expected to play on Tuesday. Does he need a scope? Does he need surgery? Is this going to be a long-term thing? How long is he going to be out for? We wait and see on that. Michigan State at this point is 3-0, has the home win over Arkansas. Really good game on as the undercard. And then the later game, we may be robbed of one of the 3 or 4 most notable head-to-head matchups of the non-conference. Yeah. You've got Duke against Kansas, that game scheduled to tip around approximately 9 Eastern on Tuesday in the Garden. And while Cameron Boozer is healthy and good to go on that end, Bill Self revealed on Saturday that the alleged cramp issue that Darren Peterson had been having wasn't really necessarily cramps. It was more of a strained hamstring. And his Self's exact quote was that Darren Peterson will remain out for the, quote, immediate future. And then, quote, I just don't know how long that'll be, end quote. I really would love to see Darren Peterson play in person. His health comes before my wants and desires and the greater wants and desires of Kansas fans and college basketball fans. But this would be the matchup will be good and be buzzed about, and we'll lead the show with it on Wednesday morning. But not getting Cameron Boozer versus Darren Peterson, they don't play the same position. They mostly wouldn't guard each other, but to have those, they might be the top 2 picks in the draft. Not getting that in the Champions Classic in the world's most famous arena would be a major downer. So unfortunately, and I can't remember the last time this happened, if there are any Champions Classic Uber scholars out there, I just can't remember the last time this event, which is obviously one of the biggest ones every single November, had 2 specific really impactful injuries hovering over it. Every so often, one team will have an issue, but 2 games, 2 different injuries. Kentucky's not the same team without Jalen Lowe. And then you take Darren Peterson off of Kansas, and oh boy, that's a lot different and changes just the general outlook of that game. So we wait and see on if we get any more information between now and tip time on Tuesday night.
I got an answer to your question.
On Beaver Fever?
It was Champions Classic 2020. 2 teams didn't even show up.
Oh, that's true. That was the dumbest pandemic of our lifetime. So that is true.
Dude, I went to Las Vegas and 2 teams didn't show up.
COVID, the year where COVID literally stopped the Champions Classic from being played as it should be played. That's got a one-up on the fact that we don't know if Darren Peterson's going to play Tuesday night and Jalen Lowe might be out for a little bit.
And if I remember right, in the doubleheader, it was 1 team from the first game and 1 team from the second game.
Yes.
And so we ended up putting 2 teams against each other who weren't even supposed to play, just to get 1 game out of the Champions Classic. It's good times.
And then as a random aside to that, Duke is going to play at Michigan State in December. And that is connected to the fact that Duke and Michigan State, the Champions Classic getting canceled that year. And then Michigan State played at Duke as a make good. And Duke's just had to fulfill the back end of that, unexpected home and home. And that finally gets fulfilled in less than a month from now.
So with Darren Pete, you just hate. I'd rather hear a lot of different things than hamstring, because that's just not something you play with. You just don't want to mess with it.
Word is that Peterson wants to be out there. So this is you understand that you got top 3 pick. People are like, oh, okay. Is it load management? That's not the word emanating from Lawrence. Peterson wants to be on the floor, but they are going to make sure that he is good to go. And they don't want to have him get out there and then, damn, he tweaks it and then he's out for 6 weeks. They do not want that. That's why I'm a little skeptical. We'll see him on the floor Tuesday, but I'd love to be wrong.
I mean, I can just tell you if he's going to be an NBA player, if he already was one,
he wouldn't play.
No chance. I mean, in the NBA, a hamstring, you see somebody go, ooh, and then they limp off and it's like hamstring. We'll check on you in 3 weeks. That's the type of thing that happens there. So this stinks, all the time spent thinking about what he would be at Kansas, and now it gets off to this kind of start. Hopefully he gets well soon.
Yep.
Think that's a show?
Bears are 7-3.
I gotta tell you something.
Beaver fever?
Yeah.
Okay.
It's actually an intestinal illness. It's a real thing. You could get beaver fever. You could actually get beaver fever, and not because you became enthusiastic about Wayne Tinkle's basketball program.
Okay.
It would be because you have contracted an intestinal illness caused by a microscopic parasite. That's beaver fever.
Didn't need to know it. Someone in the chat also saying it's diarrhea. So we've really run the gamut on tonight's show.
Wow.
Yeah.
I didn't know that's what it meant to have beaver fever. I thought it was a good thing. I didn't know you were just running all over yourself. That's tough. That's tough. Shouts to Devin Downey. Shouts to Chester, South Carolina. Shouts to Terry Teagle. He's a legend. Huck, Larnell. Thank you guys once again for watching and listening to the Eye on College Basketball Podcast. If you're not subscribed, please go subscribe anywhere you subscribe to podcasts, Apple, Spotify. More of us than there are of them. That should be reflected in the comments. So do that. We will talk to you again. When will we talk to people again, you think?
Wednesday at 9:45 a.m. Your boy over here is probably going to walk in the door from the Garden. Whew. I hope it's by 2:15 a.m. I'll pull a GP, trying to squeeze a little bit of sleep in. And then 9:45 a.m. Wednesday, recap everything from Tuesday and set the table for a huge Wednesday in the sport. I'm actually going to go from the Garden Tuesday night, make the drive up to Stores for Arizona versus UConn and Gamble. But yes, Wednesday, 9:45 a.m. Please be there and continue to rate, review, like the show. We could use some freshies on the reviews, by the way. On Apple Podcasts. I checked in over the weekend for the first time in literally, I think, a year, and we could use some. Just pop 5 stars, nice comments, throw it back to the good
5
old
stars, nice. Like, you don't even have to really. I know sometimes people don't want to get into reviews. Be like, I don't know what to write.
Oh,
let me help you. GP is amazing. That's fine. That one always works. GP is hilarious. GP's muscles are so awesome.
I regret bringing this up. I do
if
have
you
an
want
update
to talk about my muscles in the comments, you could do that.
I have an update on the birthday.
Comments. You have an update on what?
On the birthday shout from last.
Oh yeah, how'd that go?
Show. Good. I don't have the woman's age, but the Kyle, who we wish happy birthday to, he'll be 28. So safe to assume that they're good to go. And
well, you can't assume anything these days.
No, I heard from both. Here's what Kyle said. I wanted to send such a big thanks for the birthday shout out on the episode earlier today. As you guys called out, my girlfriend Kayla is truly the best. It was such an amazing surprise, and I'm still picking my jaw up off the floor from the shock. That's some good girlfriend stuff. And he goes, I know there was some speculation about us being high schoolers, but I'll be turning 28.
Good.
So of course, Kayla and I are both strong believers that there are hashtag more of us.
There it is. So that
never a doubt.
They do it. Is that what he was saying?
Yes, and now we're talking about it on a national.
Awesome, man. Good for you.
You know
guys.
what, girlfriend? Hey, she sent the email. Yes, more of us. That is correct.
Good for you guys.
Good for you too. I hope the reference and just the name drop and acknowledgement on the show added to an even better birthday weekend for Kyle.
Man, I do too.
I really genuinely hope so.
Man, I do too.
And that is a show.
All right, we got to go. All right, I got things I got to do. I'll see y'all on Wednesday. Bye-bye.